Continue. Hello, everyone. For those who are already here, I would like to inform you that we will be starting in 5 minutes. I would like to just give those people, those late attendees, a quick window just so they can join, so they don't miss any of the good stuff per se. However, I do see that we have about 49 people on thus far. So, with for the next few minutes, I have no problem, people engaging in conversation, trying to see how everybody's doing today, just so I get a good, familiar interaction with you all, if you're willing, for those who are actually willing to speak. If not, we can stay in silence and look at this screen. I have no issue with either, I promise you. Oh, okay. Sorry, we're doing a new approach. So if you're unable to unmute, then I apologize. That's, we're learning as we go per se. Everything has to be improved for the bigger and better. But of course, as we see, we can all speak in the chat. So go crazy if need be. So I'm just curious, where is everybody located? If you don't mind dropping that into the chat as well. I'm curious to see, because of course, this is the Texas chapter, but we are more than welcome to greet everybody. Okay, I see Virginia, UK, Michigan, Houston, Chicago, Pittsburgh. Okay, Berkeley, that's California. Ooh, y'all typing too fast. All right, let's see Nigeria. Okay, so Ghana, Canada, Honolulu. Oh, so this is national at this point, or international. San Antonio, shout out to San Antonio, shout out to the Texans. I'll also make another reminder, but of course, for those who are out to Colorado, Denver, Maryland, in Florida, I also like to make a reminder to join icmcp.slack. We have a national Slack channel where we all can go and just converse and interact with our other members as well. You get updates. You also get different webinars that's provided through ICMCP Engage, but we'll get to that part later. I just wanted to let everybody know, hey, we're here, and I'm happy and grateful to have you all here. We have about another 30 to 60 seconds until we begin, but welcome everyone. Calabasas, California. I'm loving the San Antonians. I'm in San Antonio myself, so I'm a little slightly biased, if I can say so myself. Happy to have you all. I see San Diego. Okay. I'm loving the turnout. I'm loving how everybody joined on time. I see Dallas. Oh, that's the Facebook friend right there. Okay, I see you. Thank you for joining as well. Charlotte, Central Coast, Canada. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops, California. Ugh. And all right, so we're going to go ahead and start now, as we're 5 minutes past. So for those who want to continue speaking, you obviously can go into the chat, and we will have time for questions at the end as well. So I will try my best to be able to at least document all those questions. That way, when it's time, I can introduce it. I can ask them to Bev. So once again, thank you for joining ICMCP's Engage's Digital Forensic Essentials with Bev Benson. This is a part of our Texas chapter, and obviously we see the time of the day, so you're doing right because you're here on time. So I'm going to jump, excuse me, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to jump over to the next slide. So ICMCP Engage is a fundamental program designed to grow, develop, highlight careers, opportunities, and contributions of diverse talent within cybersecurity. This is just one of the ways that we obviously contribute to this mission. We have various topic areas. So, career development, career spotlight, transition, leadership, and of course this tech talk, which is pretty much more where this is aligned. And usually each month, each chapter also has different celebratory months or themes per se. So, you have a list right here with it being May. We have Asian American, Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and Older Americans. And next month, of course, is the LGBTQI Pride Month. Either way, I was going to go on to the next one. So, of course, this is not specific to the Texas chapter, but of course, the ICMCP members benefits our members in many ways. You know, the national benefits our members in many ways. From the competency core assessment, which, by the way, is actually launched last month. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and get that, because mind you, it's all free. So we have different career explorations, obviously these events, scholarships, trainings, mentorships. We have a lot of opportunity for you to upskill and continue to grow in addition to attending these webinars. And so without further ado, oh wait, real quick, don't forget to go join now at icmcp.org. And now, without further ado, I will introduce our lovely presenter or speaker, Bev. And I will go mute now, Bev.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope that you can all see and hear me. Okay, wonderful. All right, hi, I'm Beverly Benson. I am a academic program director with the American Women's College. I'm in the US, and the college is in Massachusetts. And so I'm very excited to be here and provide you all with an overview of digital forensics. So for digital forensics, how I look at this concept is where technology, law, and accountability meet. So over the next, I'd say about 30 minutes, I'll provide you with an overview of the topics, and then I look forward to answering some of your questions. If you can please advance me to the next slide, Bennett. Wonderful. Okay, so let's start with what is digital forensics? There were a lot of different definitions that I found, but one of the ones that I liked most was securing and analyzing digital information stored on devices for use as evidence in civil, criminal, or administrative cases. So as I go through this slide, I want to tell you all that I'm going to approach this in a three-tier approach. One is the people, the process, and then the technology. So the people, who retrieves and analyzes the digital information, and then also what certifications and trainings are available. Let's start with who retrieves. So within the digital forensics field, there are many titles that you may have. It could be a forensic analyst, it could be a computer forensic analyst, you may be a first responder, meaning you're the one of the first individuals that are going to be called out in the event of a crime. To prepare yourself for this type of a career, I think one of the best certifications is the A+. And let me tell you why. With the A+ certification, it's your foundation certification, and it's sponsored by CompTIA. The A+ certification will train you so that you understand the workings of the computer, so that you will know how to troubleshoot, you will know how to do upgrades, you will know how to do images. And a lot of those trainings and knowledge that you get in the A+ certification, those skills are directly transferable to the field of digital forensics. There are some certifications that are in this field. There are quite a few, but I chose ones that I find, I think, most relevant. I am in no way sponsoring any of them. You choose what's best for you, but a couple of them, one is with SANS. SANS has a Digital Forensics Essential certification. They also offer a Windows Forensic Analysis certification. And then EC Council, they offer a Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator certification. So if you were looking to start with, okay, where do I get the knowledge? I think these certifications would be helpful. Also, you can get information from taking college courses. In addition to being a program director, I actually teach digital forensics to students. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the people. If you can go to the next slide, and let's talk about. Oh, sure, absolutely. And along the way, if I see questions and I'll give you the information, I'll do that quickly. So certifications were CompTIA A+, SANS, SANS.org. You will find information on, they have various digital forensic certifications. The two that I thought were more the entry level was the Digital Forensic Essentials as well as Windows forensic analysis. And then EC Council, E as in Edward, C as in Cat, Council, and it's eccouncil.org. And they offer a computer hacking forensic investigator certification. And then in addition to that, a lot of colleges are now offering programs in cybersecurity, and they do have concentrations or majors in digital forensics. Can we go to the process slide next, please? All right, so let's talk a little bit about, the people slide. You have a digital forensics analyst. You can be a forensic investigator, or as I indicated, you can be a digital evidence first responder. The three categories that I think are very important in this field is your knowledge, your skills and ability, and how to get started. Let's start with knowledge. What do you need to know in order to be truly effective in this field? First, cybersecurity concepts. One of the basic concepts that is so important in this field is the CIA triad, and that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. For the digital forensics field, the most important of the three would be integrity. You are going to be charged with the responsibility of retrieving, recovering data from either a computer, a mobile device, it could be from an iPad, a cell phone, but you must be able to maintain the integrity of that data so that if your case goes to court, the information is admissible. Operating systems. Really good to have experience and exposure to Windows, Mac, and Linux. And so Linux is important because a lot of, at least for the Android devices, they use the Linux operating system. And then also, of course, Mac or the iOS operating system also is very important. Knowledge on data recovery. Data recovery is where do you go to look for the data? It's very important that you understand where data, I won't say hidden, but it can be placed in very unique places, such as the normal will be in files and folders, right? You receive an email, you read it, you store it in a particular folder. There are also individuals who are trying to hide information in plain sight. This is referred to as steganography. They will have an image or a picture, and within that, either sometimes it's laid within it or under it. It can be hidden information, encrypted information. So being able to detect steganography in pictures and images is also very important. Data preservation. We all know that with our computers, with our mobile devices, some of the information is volatile, meaning that some of it, if you do not save it, and if you shut off your device, that volatile information can be lost. So if you're in the field of digital forensics, it's very important to understand what type of information and data is volatile, what type is not. Analysis. So as a digital forensics investigator, once you are able to recover and retrieve the data, well, how do you analyze it? What are you looking for? Court proceedings. Oftentimes, when you're in the field of digital forensics, you are helping someone to prove either that something has occurred or something has not occurred, or it could be you're trying to figure out maybe how someone has hacked into a system. Law enforcement investigations. You know, part of the digital forensics field and exposure that you will get, I'll tell you, can be a little difficult. By that, I mean, you are not always going to be looking for an email. You may be looking for very sensitive information, such as child pornography. And so it's very important that you understand law enforcement investigations, how they work, how a enforcement investigation works in the public sector, as well as in private sector, and also in the government sector. All information is not easily retrievable. And one of the things that we talk about, and it's very good to understand within digital forensics, is data privacy. The Fourth Amendment comes to mind when I think about, court proceedings, data privacy, and we are all covered by the Fourth Amendment. It's our right to privacy. But it's really important to know and understand that if you are in a place of work and you are using a company device, your right to privacy can be minimized. Or if you are using your own personal device and you connect it to the network of an organization, your right to privacy is also compromised. One of the things that is very important for you to know in this field is that when you are at work, and I share this information with my students, I share with my children as well. It's really important to understand and know the policies. One policy referred to the AUP, which is the Acceptable Use Policy. Organizations, corporations, places that your employer, most of them will have an AUP policy. So it's important to really be aware of that, to read it, and to understand your rights as well as your organization's rights. When you are using company equipment, most companies do allow you to use the equipment for some personal use. We've all done it. I've done it. I've said it's Christmas time. I need to go and buy something for my kid really quick. I go on Amazon really quick, right? But when you are searching websites, when you are checking your email, when you engage in inappropriate conversations, when you send inappropriate pictures, you are now and most likely going to be in violation of an acceptable use policy. Now, how does this connect to digital forensics? Well, oftentimes employers will do random searches of the data on your computer, and they are looking for things that are out of the ordinary. And you may say, well, I sent an email, or someone sent me an inappropriate joke and I just forwarded it on. Receiving and forwarding on is two different things. So from the digital forensics world, we are able to tell where it originated. Was it outside of the network? Did it originate inside the network? And then who you may have forwarded it to. So one of the things I always say to people is that if you wouldn't do or take that action with your manager or your boss sitting right next to you, probably not the right thing to do. Let's jump on skills and abilities. In the field of digital forensics, communication skills are vital. Communication skills, whether it be verbal, written, as well as your body language. That's very, very important. As you come across different artifacts, different pieces of evidence, it's important to remain professional, but also to use your communication skills in a way that you do not alert others as to what you are doing. Being detail-oriented is vital in this field, and it's very important that you are a person that can follow processes, a person that really understands and pays attention to just the little subtle changes in files and folders and data. Being a team player, you can't do it all on your own. Data is everywhere. Oftentimes, you may be working with a group of digital forensic analysts, and someone may be assigned to check the file, someone may be assigned to check the registry, someone may be assigned to check maybe a USB device, someone may be assigned to check an external hard drive. And so the ability to each of you to work in collaboration with each other and be able to come together and create a report is vital. Process-oriented. There is a scientific approach to be used in the field of digital forensics. And the reason why you use a scientific approach is because you want to make sure it is repeatable. You as a digital forensic analyst, let's say you are on the side of the plaintiff. You've been hired on the side of the plaintiff, and you are going and you're going to be investigating some data that you have been reviewing. Well, the defense wants also to be able to take that same copy of that data and be able to perform the exact same steps that you have identified and expect to get the exact same results. So being process oriented, following a scientific method is also very important. The ability to relate technical terms in layman terms, that is also very important. You may be working with individuals who have may not be as technical as you are, and they may need you to explain some of the terminology, such as a file, a folder, a registry, a USB, a GUI. So it's really important for you to be able to take that very technical information and to put it into a way that's easily understandable. And I'll give you an example. I was recently in an interview, and I'll use this as an example. This is just a little container of mints. And someone said that if you had to explain what ransomware was, how would you do it? So I'm going to use this. This is my container of mints, and this is something of value to me. For ransomware, as an example of explaining a technical term into layman's terms, this is now a value. This is an item that I value, and someone takes possession of this particular item. And they tell me if I want my item back, then in exchange for it, I've got to give them something of value. And most likely it is money, it can be cryptocurrency. And so this is an example of how you take a technical term and you explain it using examples that someone can really relate to in layman's terms. Remaining calm under pressure. When you may be working with a police organization, you may be working with a fire department, you may be working with a school. Oftentimes emotions are high, especially if someone is being, you are trying to clear someone of a charge, or you are trying to, for example, you may also be called to say, you know what, we have a senior leader leaving the organization. Prior to them leaving, we've got to find a way, because they don't know they're leaving. We've got to find a way to get access to their computer and make a copy of their hard drive. Emotions are high, and you as a professional need to be able to remain calm and professional in those types of situations. And I also brought up before the type of information that you may come across. Child pornography is just something that I think it can rock the foundation of any individual. And so being able to come across that type of data, that type of evidence, and you're not prepared to see that, will really require you to remain calm, to remain professional, and also the last item, to make fact-based decisions. Decisions not based on how you feel, decisions not based on your own set of principles that you may live by, but simply by the evidence that you are retrieving. Well, how do you get started in this field? As I indicated, college education. College is not for everyone, but I do want to state that there are cybersecurity degrees that have majors in digital forensics. There are also certificates, which is a subset of the courses that you would normally take in a degree program that you can take. Usually it's between 6 to 10 courses that will, once you successfully complete those, you'll have an understanding of the digital forensics field and be able to apply for roles. Internships are fantastic. Internships don't always have to be paid. Be willing to do what it is necessary to get the experience that you need. Volunteer. I know that for a lot of police departments, they may not have the budgets for a forensic investigator, kind of that whole team. Oftentimes they do use like state police, or they will contract that work out to either other larger organizations or third-party vendors. And so the opportunity to be able to volunteer and to get that experience is vital. Also, building your own network. By that, I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about equipment. Building your own network. One of the things that I've done is I have 2 laptops, I have 4 monitors, and I set them up myself because it's important to be used to, handling and working with the equipment that you may run into. I also have I have speakers, I have a portable USB device. When I was taking some of my classes, I was able to get access to some Cisco equipment. I have a router. And then I also have I have a router, and I forget the other piece of equipment, but when I remember, I'll let you know. But it's important to be able to build your own network within your home so that you get used to using the equipment that you're going to come into contact with. Let's talk about the process of digital forensics, Remember, we talked about documented, repeatable, and a systematic approach. When you go out to a site, it is best to, do an assessment and make a plan. You want to know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Are you going to a public or private sector? Because again, your responsibilities, laws are very different depending upon the public and private sector. Go to that site with a preliminary approach. By that, I mean, there should be kind of a list of things that you know that you would normally do. You're always going to have your extenuating circumstances, but there should be kind of a common list of tasks that you are going to do. And also, you want to make sure to take a peek at your resources. What are you going to need? What equipment do you need to bring with you? One of the common pieces of equipment that you need to bring is called a forensic workstation. That sounds like a really cool term, I know. What it is either a laptop or a desktop that is dedicated, and you only use it when you are going out to retrieve digital evidence. In addition to having your forensic workstation, other things that you may use, maybe USB drives, it may be evidence bags, evidence forms, absolutely. You will need to, and we'll go when we go to the secured and gather evidence, it is very vital that you have a document, which is called an evidence form. And as you are going step by step with everything that you are doing, you are documenting it. Now, I talked a little bit about evidence bags. Another resource is called a Faraday bag. And that's in the event that you will be coming in contact with a mobile device of some sort. A Faraday bag blocks the signals so that someone cannot remote erase the phone. Yes, and Timothy has provided some scholarship information. Thank you very much, Timothy. So Faraday bags. I also now have, I have a Faraday pouch that I put my remote to my car in, because now in the world, we have individuals who have Wi-Fi extenders, and they are able to use, if I don't have it properly protected, and depending on how close my remote is to my car physically, they can, yes, tinfoil works as well. So does a coffee can. Yes, they can be able to tap into my remote and get it to unlock the door, oftentimes to start it. So I have Faraday products. There are often, also I want to share with you, the creator of Faraday has also created Faraday, there's Faraday clothes for individuals that may have a pacemaker to block any type of signals that can come and try to interrupt how that device is supposed to work. So it's a really, really cool. I do encourage you to get more information on Faraday products. All right, so we're going to go now to secure and gather evidence. So you have your plan, you've assessed what you need, you have your checklist, you know what resources that you're going to need. When you go into whether it's going to be an organization, when you go into a crime scene, from the time that you walk in, it is important to establish a chain of custody. By that, I mean, if you go into a court of law, you must be able to prove that, or be able to account for the whereabouts of that particular evidence from the time it was retrieved and to the time it shows up in court. Every person that has handled it, they want to know names, they need to know dates, they need to know times. And that usually that information is on your evidence form. Chain of custody is very, very important. In a court of law, if whichever side, whether it's the defense, if they're able to prove there has been a break in chain of custody, then that evidence could be inadmissible in a court of law. Very important. Once you gather the evidence, it is important that you realize and remember, never, ever, ever analyze on the actual original copy of the data. That's your evidence. You would always obtain the data by making a forensic copy. And it is best to make between, most people say 2. I personally, I like to have a little bit more than I may need. I'd say 3 to 4 forensic copies. A forensic copy is very different than just a copy of the data. A forensic copy is a bit by bit copy. It is an exact duplicate. It does not allow you to alter it in any way, so it maintains the integrity of that data, which goes back to the CIA triad that I talked about. Making a forensic copy, there are different tools that will help you to do this. One of the things that you also want to do as you're making a forensic copy is to make sure that either the tool or the software that you are using has write blocker capability. That means you can only use it in a read-only mode. That prevents accidental or intentional altering of the data and the evidence that you're going to be working with. Let's go to analyze and report. All right, so now that you have made, several copies, we'll say of a hard drive, you've made several copies of the hard drive, you have been accountable and used your form and used a method in which you are now ready to analyze it. You have your forensic workstation, which again can be a laptop, can be a desktop. You oftentimes will need to recover. You may have a hard drive, but you may not know what you're looking for. So you need to be able to recover data. It's important that you create and maintain notes of all the forensic steps that you have taken. You're going to create a report, and it's good to know that there are some forensic tools out there that do help you automate the report. Critique and improve. Continuous improvement is, I think, very vital in this field because technology changes so very rapidly. Procedures. What you have available to you today may be different tomorrow. There may be a new scientific method that becomes widely acceptable in the field of forensics. You'd always want to make sure that you have someone that you are working with review and provide you improvement opportunities on the reports that you've done prior to them going out of your organization and being presented in a court of law. It is so very important to have that second pair of eyes to make sure you haven't missed anything. Let's talk about the technology. I purposely put this last because let me explain. Tools are like toys. Everyone wants to gain access to the most updated technology tool that's available. However, if you do not have, as an individual, the right skill set, if you are not following a scientific process, a repeatable process, then your technology will not help you. Technology helps you. It makes you, it adds value to what you're already doing. It helps to streamline your process and to make it easier so that certain things you would have had to do normally, manually, they can be automated for you. So forensics tools, they aid in the collection, preservation, analyzing, and reporting of digital evidence. I've listed some tool types, and then I've also provided you with some popular tools. Tool types, disk forensic. You may be, we either have, within our our computers, there are disks. There are disk drives. You may need to go, depending on how old that computer is, you may need to do some forensic analyzation on that. Mobile forensics. Everybody has a mobile phone right now. And also with mobile forensics, especially with the iOS systems, they come out so frequently that it makes it very difficult for individuals in this field to gain access to the information that's contained in your mobile device. And that may mean being able to bypass the password. That may mean also being able to, mobile device is also very important when you get access to the mobile device, is to put it in airplane mode, because you also want to block the ability for anyone to get access to that. Network forensics. We've heard of so many networks being hacked. Network forensics, the ability to go in and look through that network and look at the network traffic to understand, first of all, what was the person looking for? How long have they been in the network? Did they add something into your network? Did they introduce a virus, or were they taking information out of your network? Network forensics will allow you to understand and to gain knowledge on what has happened. Malware forensics, I mentioned, malicious software. We've had the most recent one, those in the Southeast, the gas line. Memory forensics. Looking at memory forensics, your phone has memory. It has a SIM card. It has internal memory. Email forensics. Email forensics is very important. When I was doing this slide, one of my favorite movies is the Aaron Brockovich movie, in which people were sending emails and then they were deleting them because it contained incriminating information. If you leave this presentation with nothing, there's one thing I hope you remember. Delete does not mean erase forever. Delete can also mean it just simply unallocates the information. So if you go in, as an example, I'm going to give you a couple examples. If I send an email to 4 people, if one person hits delete, that does not delete the entire email from all people that it was sent to. Now, that was a very easy one. I get it. That was a very easy one. If all 4 people delete that email still exists. Because don't forget, prior to that email getting to your email account, it went through a server. It went through a company. So there are still going to be copies and remnants of that data. Text messages, sending text messages and then deleting them. Just because you hit delete, it doesn't go away. It becomes unallocated and unused space. And depending on how often you may use your device, I only use my device for, I'm typing on the phone, I may send a text every now and then. So if I delete something, and it means that it may take a long time before new data will rewrite or overwrite that text message, that picture, whether it's a picture of a family friend or child or an appropriate picture. Delete does not make it go away permanently. And even if it does, organizations now have policies that they must hold information, data specifically, depending upon the sector that they're in, for a period of years. So it may be deleted from your account or your device, but it still lives. Most often, it still lives somewhere. Now, let's talk about some tools, okay? So one of the tools that I've used, majority of these tools. So ProDiscover Toolkit, SleuthKit Autopsy, Encase, Access Data's FTK Imager. Those first 4 you're going to use those. I see your question, Thomas. Give me 1 minute and I'll answer that. You're going to use those if you are going to be able to retrieve data. They also offer the right blocking so that you can retrieve the data. You can do it in a get a forensic copy, which is a bit copy, bit by bit. And then for the Wireshark is a tool that will allow you to analyze network traffic. So Wireshark is a really cool tool. I like to work with Wireshark. Volatility is also will allow you to analyze network traffic. Celebrate, UFED. I hope that some of you have heard of that. That is for mobile devices. This is a very popular tool, and it allows usually, because it's also very costly, this particular tool, usually used in law enforcement, where they are able to go in and retrieve, information from a cellular device, a mobile device. I'm just doing a quick time check. So what I want to do is I kind of give you an overview of the tools. I also want to let you know that some tools that are within this list are either open source or they're free. So if you would like to really develop your craft, look up these tools, download them, hopefully more in a virtual environment than on your actual device itself, and begin to get some experience with them. So what I'm going to do now is that kind of gives you a yeah, Nicole, I will definitely give you my opinion on that. I've given you an overview of the people, the process, and the technology of digital forensics. And this is just the essentials. I find that the digital forensic field is ever changing because technology is ever advancing. And so I want to invite you all to learn more about it. If there are questions that I can answer outside of this presentation, I'll share my contact information with you. And now I'm going to start looking at some of the questions and answer them. Bennett, if you can I'll have you field the questions for me.
Okay, so the first one we had a few minutes ago, which was on the subject of mobile forensics, is there any way in which to overcome a MDM or containerized solution?
When you ask that level of technical question, you have some experience in digital forensics. So I would love that person to take themselves off mute and let's have a discussion. That's a very.
It was Mark.
Mark
White. So let me.
Mark White, are you still there?
Let me pull them up. I think the way it's set up. Let me see. Mark, I'm gonna try to unmute you or at least request it.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yep, he's good.
Hey, Mark, it's Bev. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. So tell me, where are you from?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, but right now I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
All right. So that was, that wasn't a cyber security or digital forensics essential question. So tell me a little bit about what you do for a living.
Right now I am a SOC manager, but before I was in my current position, I was doing cybersecurity. Right now, part of what I do is I work in the healthcare industry.
Okay.
And we ensure that when for the company I work for, we of course, we want to protect our PII, PHI. For people who don't know, there are many kinds of classifications of data. I didn't know that. I thought everything was PII until I got into the healthcare industry. I had to break that down. That said, one of the things that we try to ensure is that you cannot take data from take any type of company data from our devices and put it on anything else. The problem with that is that we see that we give people we either do BYOB, bring your own phone, or we do corporate devices. Most people want to do bring your own phone, and that comes in with the MDM solution. When we have the person leave the company for whatever reason, we cannot see if they did anything or did not do anything. And so we want to sometimes, and I'm thinking of a particular situation without saying it, because so there was a particular situation where somebody knew they were leaving the company, and they tried to take all the information with them.
Okay.
And we wanted to prove that they were taking the information with them. But because this stuff was containerized, and supposedly when you turn off your when the phone gets turned off, or when it leaves off, all the data gets erased.
Yes.
We weren't able to have any type of chain of custody. We weren't able to go back and look at those remnants. So I was wondering, is there a way to do that?
Yeah. So first, I want to talk about device hardening. And also, device hardening is when you will deactivate certain functionality on a computer or a laptop or a mobile device, so that someone, for an example, cannot put in a USB drive unless they're part of a group, and you have to prove that there's a business need for you to need to do such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So did your organization harden their devices?
Yes.
Okay, so you did that. All right. And so this individual is still being suspected of taking either personal health information, which is PHI, or PII, personal identifiable information. For those, when you use those acronyms, I wanted to make sure everyone knew what you were talking about. So this individual is suspected of doing that, correct?
Correct. By pushing it to pushing it to the cloud, by pushing it to the cloud, basically.
Yeah. See, with the without doing some research, it may be a little difficult to prove it. And when you're looking at the cloud, depending on where those servers actually exist and who owns those servers, that's a whole nother level of complexity that you all are up against. If those, because now you have to worry about if it's in a different state, well, what rules, what privacy data rules apply to that particular state. So without doing some additional research, which I'm more than happy to do for you, nothing comes to the top of my mind to find an absolute 100% here's proof way to indicate that this person has done that. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Okay.
Very difficult.
I was hoping that was an easy solution that we just didn't know.
Yeah, no, that's not an easy solution. It's not an easy solution. And oftentimes, one of the things that that I am cautioned with the, they call it the BYOD, bring your own device, is things such as that. Previously, you would have an application that was downloaded to your mobile phone. And by doing that, your employer had the ability to remote wipe information on your phone.
Right.
And so that I wish that they would have remained with that. That was just so much easier because they could just remote wipe it. Done.
Hey, Bev, we actually have 2 more questions, and I know we have at least 10 minutes until the end of the webinar, so I want to make sure that these questions also get the attention they deserve and answered.
So absolutely. So there isn't a quick answer for that. It would require more research. I would also, if your organization has not already done so, would be to reach out to enforcement authorities for their assistance as well. They may have equipment that I'm not privy to that can be of assistance to you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. And so we also have another question that says, does a deleted message in an app with end-to-end encryption like WhatsApp remains retrievable?
So you have it's all right. So from the time end-to-end encryption, you still hit delete. It is my understanding that encryption only protects someone from being able to view it. Encryption doesn't protect it from being deleted. So you encrypt it because you're taking it from plain text and putting it into an algorithm, so it looks like garbled information. So those two are two separate topics. So if you're deleting something, you're deleting it. If you're encrypting it, you're not allowing someone, unless they have the key or the password, to be able to view it. So you can still delete an email.
Right. Just give us my, I think with it, the question is if it's retrievable. I think it still is. It's just you're going to retrieve that encrypted message. Unless you really know what that decryption key is, you won't have a way to know what the original plain text message is in the first place.
Okay, so I misunderstood. Yes, that's correct, Bennett. Yes, you can.
You have to correct. I just want to add my 2 cents as a.
You just want to add yourself
as a passionate person.
Add
Something like
that. But yeah, so you can still you may not be able to. It may not be legible unless you're able to de-encrypt it.
Right. And so another question we had was, what are your opinions on Cellebrite not disclosing 0 days to companies to use in their products to unlock cell phones?
Well, it would be really helpful if you, and again, you asked my opinion. I have two sides to this. There is a business that Cellebrite has, right? And they make money by, in not only Cellebrite, I don't want to call them out, but any organization that's providing a service makes money when you use their service. If they would share that information, then you're not going to need them to help you. So I think if a 0 day attack or 0 day data is of national security, then share it. Share it. If it keeps us all safe, if it keeps our infrastructure safe, if it prevents things such as what just happened a couple of weeks ago with the gas, if that was a 0 day that could have been prevented, then my opinion, it should be shared.
I think that also kind of reminds me a little bit of Apple when, if you remember a few years ago in California, when Apple wouldn't decrypt that cell phone of a man who I want to say did a mass shooting, or at least was a serial killer or something. Either or, he murdered a few people or a lot of people. And the whole world got mad about that. And so Apple had to go and try to make it so where they can't even decrypt their own devices as well. So I guess it's all about privacy. You know, the forensics in us is like, yeah, privacy, but the employee in us is like, oh man, my life just got harder. And so, yeah. So we have another question as well. I know we also have at least 5 more minutes until we close out. So I guess this will be the last. Wait, one more. What's that? So I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and ask the question. So the question is, can you work for yourself as a forensic examiner?
Can you work for yourself?
Can you be a consultant?
Yes.
As a forensic examiner to companies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you can. Oftentimes, organizations will outsource forensic that business because they don't have the forensic tools, the forensic knowledge. And oftentimes, because forensics is not something you're going to use every single day. It's kind of a specialty. So yes, you can get the necessary, if you can, get the tools, you can get the certifications, you are able to establish your brand and be reputable. Yes, you can do this as an entrepreneur.
I think the most difficult part of that would probably be, making sure that people know that you're reputable, as you mentioned, or that you know your stuff, to say at the least.
Yes.
So
getting that first break.
Right, that experience. People feel more comfortable knowing you have experience.
Yeah, getting that first customer.
And so somebody else said, don't forget you can practice on PCs you buy on Craigslist, which is also contributing to buying having a virtual lab as well. So these are all great ideas. Oh, and Lucy also asked a question a few minutes ago. I answered partly, but I did want to get your intake on that as well. We have been given permission to go 5 minutes over. So in a few minutes, so basically we can go at least 9 more minutes, and then we have to cut it off. So for those who will have to go in the next 5 minutes, we completely understand. For those who will want to stay and ask questions or at least hear the answers, then we appreciate your time nonetheless. And so Lucy basically asked, with some of these popular tools, I'm kind of paraphrasing here as I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
Some specific tools have certifications. Can you point out which ones?
Okay. Celebrate certification. Some of the, I don't want to say higher end, I don't think that's the right word, but some of the more costly, again, these tools, some of them are open source, means they're free, but some of them are a cost. So when this is a part of someone's business, is a service they're providing, then there's Celebrate definitely is one of those. It requires, I've been really, really hoping that they would create a virtual environment. But right now, Celebrate is an actual device, and then they offer different courses. There's a cost to that. And then they also offer different certifications. So there's definitely a cost. For Wireshark, I know that there isn't a certification. I don't think the others, I'm not aware of the others that I've listed for the popular tools having certifications, but definitely a Wireshark has one. Okay, so there are some individuals that have said, for Wireshark, I've been able to use it, not need a cert.
Yeah, I know Autopsy has one. I took a training because they actually had it available because of COVID. So, it was like a $500 training normally, but like I said, with COVID, they decided to waive that for everyone.
Nice.
And that was nice. And realistically, with these vendors, each one is going to be specific. I think the overall goal is that you can learn the tool and then be able to present that per se to your employer or anybody else, because everybody's going to be different. The FBI may not want Autopsy. They may want the SleuthKit because it doesn't have a GUI. So
right.
Realistically, these, I want to say Access Data has multiple, if I'm not mistaken, not just including FTK Imager, because that's basic in certain, according to some people. And so we do have we'll have one more question. Oh, somebody took that. Shout out to you, Darius. And so we also have another question that basically said, am I able to email someone tonight that can help me regarding entry-level questions about migrating to a career in networking and security? I'm going to see. Yes, you can. Realistically, that's exactly what ICMCP is. You can go to the general channel, ask your questions. You can add Bev on LinkedIn, ask questions. You can add me on LinkedIn, ask questions. Regardless, the idea is to be able to provide a community so you can go and get those answers that you're looking for. And so, with that being said, also I guess that's a great segue into the closing, as we're actually at the bottom of the hour. But y'all asking questions now. Y'all talking. That's crazy. All right. So someone also asked, when is the recording of this webinar going to go up? So in order to make sure that our attendees actually attend these meetings, opposed to skipping them for the hope of getting this information at a later date, we in the Texas chapter specifically hold on to our recordings. However, I do want to push out the slide deck to all the registrants and the people who attended. That way you can at least have you have the list of all those tools and recommendations that Bev was so kindly enough to be able to provide to you. And so we did have somebody ask, how did you get your start? So I would also recommend asking or connecting with Bev on LinkedIn. She's a great person. I've had the honor to be able to work with her and, volunteer with her per se. Maybe that's a more accurate way of going about it. And so once again, Bev, I want to just thank you for being able to present to us and give as much knowledge you did. Don't forget, everyone, that this is, like, as I mentioned, this is the whole point of ICMCP. We want to achieve consistent representation of women, phenomenal women like Bev, and minorities, like many of us are, and for those who are not, still appreciate it. And we also want to make sure that the cybersecurity industry is designed to foster recruitment, inclusion, and retention. And so while this is a specific webinar provided by the Texas chapter, we do have upcoming events, not the Texas chapter, but other upcoming events that you could also join virtually. And so, Bev, can you post your link to LinkedIn in the comments? Okay, thank you. And so for some of the upcoming events, we have Interviewing Best Practices. That is Thursday, June 3rd. If I'm not mistaken, that's next Thursday, June 3rd. At 12 or noon EDT. PDT, so 11 Central. And we also have a tech talk for cyber war strategies, red team and blue team. That's on June 16th. Transitions on the 17th of June at around the same time of noon, PDT, so that's 2 p.m. in Central Time. I'm going to use Central Time as this is still, a Texas chapter and we're Central. And then lastly, for this list of upcoming events, we have the career development and networking, which is June 22nd, that's at 3 Central. Now, once again, these are all things that you can be up to date with if you join our Slack channel, which is askmcp.slack.com. Now, I'm gonna be biased and say join our chapter Texas chapter, especially if you're in Texas. Either way, thank you for attending, and please give your feedback. We would love to know any way that we can improve with our presentations, whether it's this one or everyone else in the future. So once again, everyone, I appreciate you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay secure out here and get that knowledge. And at that point, I'm going to close it out. Thank you, everyone, and bye.